Hey, you guys. Welcome back to my channel. It's Ali, your favorite eccentric SLO-mad. How's everybody doing? I know it's crazy time zones. I'm in Asia now, so pardon me for the time, but I wanted to go live because I hadn't been on here a while, and today I'm going to be talking to you guys about the 7 things that surprised me about Cape Town. Um, got so much to fill you guys in on, but I wanted to hit these things because I've been doing videos but hadn't really done a hidden gem or anything like that. But these are some of the things that surprised me about Cape Town. If this is travel information, and I know a lot of people are wanting to travel and wanting to consider relocating, if this is the kind of stuff that you guys are interested in, you want to see more, please subscribe to my channel. Subscribe to my channel, and also like this video, share this video if you don't mind, and comment, let me know where you're watching from. Okay, so I'm gonna do these give you this list because these are some of the things that once I got to Cape Town, and you guys have seen some of my other videos and things of that nature. Now let me put it on Do Not Disturb, y'all. I'm live. And the messages are popping up, so I apologize. It's always something. It's always something. But anyway, I want to tell you guys, just give you all a quick run through of some of the things that surprised me. And then we're going to talk more. I'll have other videos talking about other things that experiences that I had while I was in Cape Town. There's just so much to share. Okay, so let's start with the basic one. How much like the US it actually is. So you guys, if you watch my other videos, you know that Cape Town was not very high on my list of places to go right now, right? Hey, you guys, welcome, welcome, welcome. Let me know where you're checking in from. Y'all, we talking about the 7 things that I was surprised about in Cape Town. And this is not all are specific to Cape Town, but these are things that surprised me about Cape Town. I'll do one on Johannesburg another day, okay? But how much like the US it actually is. And that was honestly, you guys, I'm sorry, but that was one of the reasons why I was not gonna go. And got an opportunity to go and ended up staying 2 months. I thought I was gonna be there for 3 months, but some other things came up, and so I had to leave, but we'll talk about a couple different things, and then check back, you guys, for my hidden gem video on Cape Town, because it's going to run through like, I don't know, 15 things specific to Cape Town, why it's good to visit. So you guys, let me know where you're checking in from. Hey, everybody, if you guys are into travel, you want to know about travel, please subscribe to the channel, tell a friend, and if you're looking for consultation on how to start your journey, I will put the link in the description. Okay, so how much like the US it is, from the way people dress, from the way it's English speaking. And when I say English speaking, it's not like Australian English. Like, you can actually understand the people that speak English. I ain't nothing against my Australian friends, but some of y'all, I got a couple friends that we always have like little tips about words that we say and what. Even British English sometimes, depending on what part of Britain they're from, or even Ireland, depending on what part they're from, sometimes it's hard to understand. But it was pretty easy to understand everybody. Everybody understands the dialect for the most part. Every now and again you run into someone that's like, huh? But I think that's just they don't get your humor. I got the hiccups now. Hey, Kaden, my journey is God and God alone, with peace and love. Thank you so much. I appreciate that. You saying that. So yeah. So a lot like the US in that perspective. I grazily say that it's similar to the US in terms of infrastructure, because I think that the US could stand to up their infrastructure, but in terms of the way that it looks just like Thank you for subscribing. Have a fantastic day. It's morning for me. Or, I don't know, noon, almost noon for me. Or afternoon. I don't know, y'all. I don't know what time it is. Because I'm in Asia right now. So, um, it looks like the US, y'all. And initially I was like, but there's a lot of countries, a lot of cities that have that kind of infrastructure, that look and that feel. And Cape Town is one of those places that has that. And that's good and bad, depends on what you're used to, what you expect, and it depends on what part of the US you live in, because there's 51 states. So you could live in a place that's really rural and you're like, this ain't like the US, but there are parts in South Africa that are very rural. So that's one of the things. Come back for the hidden gem video and I'll talk a little bit more on that. So infrastructure, I'll just talk about that because I kind of led into that. Another thing that was what surprised me was the infrastructure, and not just the way that Cape Town is built up, but the way that Cape Town is built up, and more so the way that like they don't have, so I try not to compare them to Asia because very few places match up to Asia, but they have some similarities. But Cape Town specifically has a great transportation system, meaning so their infrastructure for their buses, they are building up, I believe, their train line. They do have one train that goes through a couple different areas in Cape Town, but their roadway system that goes around the coastline, there's like the Garden Route, and then there's a northern route, different methods of getting around is great as well. But their building infrastructure seems well. Now I'm going to talk about something that's going to kind of offset that, but just in general, the way that the city is designed and built, given the fact that if you've ever been there, you know that it is very mountainous in Cape Town, like surprising, like it's almost, it feels like the inner part of South Africa, because there's so, it's not just Table Mountain. There's like mountains that go all the way to the South Bay, Hout Bay, and then mountains that go along all the way down to the bay that hits the Indian Ocean side. So really, really interesting that you actually, let me know where you guys are checking in from. Hey everybody, it's really interesting that you see that much good developed infrastructure in a city-like setting, with mountains, right there as well, right? So I thought that was cool. Okay, since we're talking about infrastructure and we're talking about mobility, moving around, let's talk about rideshare. Cost of rideshare was very surprising. Why? Because, and this is something I wasn't surprised about, but I'll mention it, the cost of Cape Town is a little bit higher. It's not, but in general, Africa is a little bit higher than I think a lot of people assume it's going to be. So there's an expectation that everything is going to be much cheaper and that kind of thing. Cape Town is a little bit on the higher end, which is why the rideshare surprised me, because the rideshare is like Asia prices, very, very cheap, like from, the northwest coast, because I call it that, like Sunset Beach, Milnerton, Table View, to the airport is easy 45-minute to an hour or plus, depending on the time of the day that you're driving, and you're gonna pay less than 20 bucks. So $15, $12, something like that. If you're in a lot of traffic, it might bump up to 15, close to 20, but that's it. Whereas in the States, if you drive in an hour, you paying $80 to $150, right? So I was very, very surprised about that, and the access and how many rideshare, the availability of rideshare. Now, sometimes they were a little iffy. I did get a few where, I had issues, or they, showing up in a timely fashion was off, because one of the things that you have to know that they do is while they're on another ride, which everybody does this, but I think it's like more of an etiquette thing in the States. But in these other countries, they will be like at the beginning of a ride and click yes for the next ride, and be 5 to 10 minutes, maybe 15 minutes away of even coming to you, but they will take the ride and lock it down. So we'll talk more about that in another video. So I was surprised about the cost. Also, while we're talking about cost, another thing that surprised me was, so the fourth thing that surprised me was the cost for services like cell service, data, and hey you guys, welcome, welcome, welcome. Can you guys, yeah, I'm gonna tell you guys, stay on topic, please. And everybody looks like they are keeping it pretty clean. If not, I block. So please keep it to the subject. You want to know about Capetown? Let me know. We'll talk about Capetown and or travel. If you want to talk about travel. So cell phone service, because that's one of the things that's really important for travelers. People are going to be in a place for 2 weeks longer, whatever the case may be. I found that cell phone service, the cost for cell phone service, and this is another surprising thing, is super cheap if you catch a deal. Otherwise, it's still pretty inexpensive. You can get cell phone service like, let's say 50 gigs for under $50 for the entire month for 30 days. But if you catch a sale, you can start off at 10 gigs all the way to 100 gigs, 10 gigs being $8, so 149 Rand, to 100 gigs for 30 days for 429 Rand, which is like $23. That's like 30 days. So yeah, it is like throttled gigs. It's not unlimited, but 100 gigs for $23 to me is a great deal. And it's on service Vodacom, which is like Vodafone. It's like that same chain, so it's actually really good. Works really well, even in the mountains. Like, I mean, you do hit some points. I used an eSIM and didn't get a SIM card, so my cost was more expensive. We'll talk about that another time as well, the benefits of eSIM over physical SIM card, or going into a store, I should say, and getting an eSIM, or using an app on your phone. But let me know if you're interested in that kind of information, because each country is different with how what services that they provide. Okay, so that's number 4. Yeah, I'm gonna run through these because I want this to be a quick video. This is another infrastructure type of thing. So, and I was surprised about this given the infrastructure and the way everything is built up, is the load shedding. So they have a thing called load shedding. And the reason this is interesting and a good and a bad thing, they have a surge at certain times of the year of electricity. And so they do a grid block, where it's something that we have in the States as well. You see it in LA, you see it in, other big cities and things like that, where they, will load shed, meaning that they will schedule electric outings during certain parts of the day, certain parts of the year. The neat thing about Capetown though was they have a schedule, and it's easy. I even had access to it. You click on a link and it tells you the schedule, how long they're going to be doing load shedding, so it's not like guesswork. Oh my God, this is going to be for 3 months or whatever. I mean, it might be 3 months, but they have grids and they give you, like, you're in certain zones, so you know exactly the hours of the day, and it literally is on point. And what's interesting about their load shedding is, in a lot of places you can like rent and look for, hey, are you in a load shedding zone? Do you have a generator? When electricity goes out, do you lose Wi-Fi? Because that was one of the things I thought was super interesting. I was in an apartment that was in a like attached inside a mall, and the electricity went out in the rooms. The Wi-Fi never went off because it was on a different grid, kind of. It had a backup. The power in the rooms went out, but if you go down to the mall area, the lights were on. Some of the stores, it went out, so I don't know if they're paying less or what, but that was something that I thought that was interesting. And it could go out multiple times a day depending on what area you're in and the season. So that was something that I thought was surprising, given their how strong their infrastructure actually is. So I don't know. And it happens in other cities too. We'll talk about those when I talk about those cities. Hey, you guys. Um, um, so you guys are, I'm gonna, all right, you guys, I block people. I block people. If you can't be nice and kind and respectful, you will be removed. It's a beautiful day. I don't have time for craziness, y'all. So good morning again if you are here to watch my video. Um, and shed light and love, you are welcome to stay. Please subscribe if you haven't already. While I give you these 7 things that I was surprised to find out about when I was visiting Cape Town for 2 months. All right, so the last 2 things, I'm going to give you this one, and this surprised me because it's something that given the climate with a number of different places, but what's happening in the U.S. But just around the world, we always hear this conversation about not talking about politics, not talking about personal things, not talking about race, not talking about how much money, stuff like that. And one of the things that I noticed without, instigating any kind of conversation is their openness to talk about apartheid. And I think part of that is because it just recently ended in '94, and you could be in an Uber, and the driver will literally just start talking to you about certain things. Like I didn't know that certain swimming pools. I'll just give you an example. There's pools on the beach, which is actually really, really cool. And then there's the beach, and so they have these mixed saltwater, freshwater pools. And back in the day, during apartheid, colored and black people, because they separate the two, were not allowed on the beach. They could only swim in the pools, which is very interesting. They couldn't even walk along the beach. And somebody just shared this. I didn't know, didn't ask, but their openness to have real conversations about real things that impact real people was also refreshing, because you're not sitting in a society where people are denying it. I mean, there's some people who deny it and deny what happened, and that kind of thing, even though it's blatant. Somebody was in prison for 27 years for fighting it. So it's refreshing in that respect, and also to start opening the conversation that this is something that you see all around the world. It's not just the U.S. This is something that happens in a lot of different places, and most places they just call it different things, like colorism, or whatever. I've got something in my eye, y'all. All right, and then the last thing I want to share with you guys that surprised me is, and I wasn't expecting this. You go to places and there's always like things to do, unless you go to Pisa and there's like one thing to do. But you go to places and yeah, you do all the touristy stuff, but after that it's like what life is there in a city. And Cape Town is amazing. The types of activities, events, things that you can do, it's limitless, honestly. So if you're a nature enthusiast all the way to city lover, coffee shop lover, wine lover, because they got wine country out there. They've got the coastal stuff. They've got so many different beaches. They got ice plunging on the Atlantic Ocean side to the warmer water on the Indian Ocean side. The oceans meet. There's so much art and that type of influence with museums and different exhibits and things that they have all over the city, historical sites, the UNESCO historical sites and things like that. They've got tons of different tours. They've got wildlife, marine life all over the place. This is in Cape Town. I'm not even talking about like all of South Africa. I'm speaking about Cape Town. So there's the The Boulder Beach is where you'll find the penguins, the South African penguins, which look like puffins from Ireland. They're very similar. I don't think they have the yellow beak, but they're very similar. Very little. So somehow they got all the way down to, maybe they went by way of North Greenland. I don't know. I don't know. But they look like puffins. And then you can also go over to like Seal Island. I don't know if it's called Seal Island, where all the seals are, but the seals are like in town. You can go to the waterfront, which is another area which is great to check out and walk around. And the seals are like propped up. They pop up everywhere, and you got seals. So it's kind of like being in California. And there's that area, I believe it's in San Diego. I think it's in San Diego. Trying to think where I went. I've only been to 2 places in California, and where the seals are there, but the seals are on the sand in San Diego, whereas here or in Cape Town, they're literally on the pier. How they get up there, I don't know, but they can jump. So, look, just you name it, you can do it. So if you're wanting to do, I did high tea for the first time. It was fantastic. Great price as well. They also have like dining events and things that you expect to see in large cities, like things that we have access to, paint, brush and sips and paints, whatever you call them, all kinds of different things like that. They have paragliding right off of Signal Hill, which I didn't get to do this time, but I'm going to do next time that I go. They have skydiving facilities as well. Just about everything. They got skate parks. I mean, anything that you can think of, they actually have. And one of the other cool things about infrastructure that I want to mention, because a lot of people are, I don't necessarily want to get on a bus, I don't want to rent a car. It's very walkable, even from the suburban areas outside of the city. It's very walkable. They even have paths where you can ride electric bikes and go running. It was one of those places where you see a lot of people getting in physical activity. So that also, to me, has another level of energy, because you're around people who care about their health as well. So it's kind of a motivator. And so anyway, you guys, those are my top 7 things that I was surprised about when I was in Cape Town for 2 months. Check back for the hidden gem video that I'm going to share with you guys, and it's going to touch on visas, the look and feel of the city, and some other things, to a little bit more in depth about like weather, what weather's like, healthcare, ways that you could pay for things, all that kind of stuff that you want to know if you're planning on going to a place and staying for a while, or even for a short visit. If you guys have any questions about stuff like that, or you're interested in starting your own personal journey with travel, or relocating possibly, or just being a nomad, SLO-mad like myself, I'm going to add the one-on-one counseling link in the description, and you can click on that and sign up for a session, and we will chat 40 minutes for $30, and I will help you get started on your journey. And there's also a travel course that you can start looking at. You guys, there is no reason that if you dream to live this life that you should not be able to do it in actuality. It doesn't have to remain a dream. So that's all I got for you guys right now. I just wanted to say hi, what's up everybody? So anyway, if you guys like this type of information, click the subscribe button. I'm looking at the messages really quick. Thank you guys for all stopping by. I appreciate you all so much. You guys, peace and blessings to you. You guys know the drill, toodles and noodles, peace and hair grease.